Sue with you here in Fans of the Framework. Good Monday morning to everyone. Hope your week is starting out well. So, I wanted to pop into our group today to remind folks that we are having a C suite retreat coming up on Mackinac Island for senior leaders, and today is the last day to register. So I thought that likely this topic that I chose for this live, how challenges change for great organizations, would be a good one because as Jane and I are getting ready for the C suite retreat, and the group of senior leaders that will be with us there. We've got the topic, we're developing the topic of good to great and great to even greater. So we're really looking at the framework and how creating great strategies, creating alignment, creating ownership for those strategies, and becoming a more agile organization, how that looks differently in those early days of the good to great, kind of getting ready, getting things in place, getting those foundational parts of the framework and those solutions in place. And then what it looks like in organizations that are now top ranking, award winning, and do their challenges go away? So that was one of the things that we started to really ponder is, it's challenging, whether it's early in a journey to greatness or it's later, there's always going to be challenges. So some people think that, wow, once we create this great organization, we have great employees, great leaders, great strategies, all this great work going on, that the challenges go away, right? Wouldn't that be boring? No, they just change, right? And we call those the good problems. I love this quote. I'm going to read it. Challenges are what makes life interesting. Overcoming them is what makes life meaningful. And we could change out that word leadership there. Challenges are what makes leadership interesting, and overcoming them is what makes leadership meaningful. So the challenges do look different, though. Jane and I, ourselves as leaders, we were in an organization long enough in a transformational journey that we saw the challenges and the things that we faced early on in that transformational effort and what challenged us. And then we were there long enough to actually see what happens later and what are those new challenges that you face as a great organization. And now, since with Capstone over more than 9 years and our partners that we've worked with, we've watched them also, many of them shift from those early challenges to these new, more mature challenges or good problems. So, what are some of these things? Well, one of the challenges, and I was on a call with one of our partners earlier today, and we were talking about this very topic, is one of the challenges early on is that there's so many opportunities to improve. So whether that's at the organizational wide level or department specific levels, is there's just so many things that we could improve. So we have so many things that are popping out as opportunities for improvement. And the data is telling us that, our subjective feelings are telling that. So we have all of these things. And so the challenge early on is to narrow the focus, have the right information and guidance on what to actually work on. Because we can't work on everything. We have to narrow the focus. That's one of the tactics that we teach in creating strategies, and those great strategies as part of the framework is to narrow the focus. So that can be the challenge early on when there's so many things that could be improved, whether that's in the employee experience, patient experience, finance, volumes, market share, whatever. There could be just so many that the challenge is, what do we focus our efforts on? And how do we know which ones will get us the biggest return on investment? But then later on, the challenge shifts to, wow, we're very, very good in so many ways with so many things that there's very few things that need our improvement focus. So now what? What do we focus on? And how do we not lose it, right? How do we not lose ground and go back in the other direction? So that's a different challenge, and how exciting. And again, we might need different solutions. We might need different data to help us decide that. And so, and that's really where we start getting into things like high reliability. So that's a whole different challenge, and the tenets of high reliability. So early on, the challenge is there's so many things, and later, there's still things, but it's a different kind of thing. And how do we point that out? How do we pick that out? And how do we know which ones to go after? And do we need new tools or solutions to make that happen, or new data sources, etc.? So those are just different challenges, right? So always getting better, always improving is one of those things that organizations need to commit to. But how we do that and how many opportunities we have for doing that looks very different in organizations that are in that good to great phase versus great to even greater. A good problem I love to focus on is on things like turnover, vacancy rates, things of that nature. Often early on, our baseline assessments with our partners will show us that they have, huge turnover rates, they have huge vacancy rates, staffing problems, and the like. That's a whole different kind of challenge, right? Versus in the great to even greater, some of those organizations, they can have 100 applicants for an open position. And they're great applicants. So now the new good problem is, how do we pick the pearl out of the huge applicant pool? Where before the other problem was a small or low applicant pool, lots of vacancies, etc. In the organization where I was a leader, when we started our good to great journey, we had a huge vacancy rate, in particular in nursing, a 40% vacancy rate. And one of the things that we worked on was working on our relationship with the local nursing program for internship and graduate nurse programs, and working closer and better with their students to recruit them when they were finished with their nursing degrees. And that was an amazing collaborative effort that we needed in that early stage. But what happened later was we didn't have open positions in nursing. We rarely had open positions. And so that became a different challenge of, what's that relationship look like now with these students, where we may not have a job for them when they get out of university. So that's just a different challenge, right? And so those are what we would call the good problems. And you want to get to those good challenges, those good problems, right? But sometimes we need to work our way through that good to great phase to get to that point of creating these new different challenges. Also, I wanted to mention too is that this is a funny one, is sometimes just things like space and parking. That's one of those things that in the beginning, your challenge might be you have a lot of unused space. Like that was the challenge in my organization. So the challenge was, what do we do with all this unused space? Do we rent it out to others? What do we do with it? Do we rent out our parking spots because we have way more parking than we need for our low volumes of business? And so what we loved was turning that into a parking problem, where we needed to build more parking, where we needed a parking deck, where we needed to build new space, right? Those are different challenges. So a challenge of all this vacant space, all this empty parking, and now the challenge of we're overusing every square inch, every parking spot, and we need more. And now we have building and space challenges. And I would rather, as a leader, deal with those challenges, those good problems, than those other problems. But as a leader, I've had the experience with both, and I can tell you, I definitely love challenges. But I love those good problems, such as, we ran out of parking space. We ran out of space to provide the service, and we need to add on. So good to great, that certainly is a challenging and fun and exciting part of leadership, is taking an organization on that journey of good to great. And it doesn't get boring after that. The great to even greater is also challenging in fun and innovative ways. And as leaders, that can be a really exciting, meaningful kind of work that we do when we get our organizations to that point. So Jane and I are looking so forward to our time on Mackinac Island coming up. So sorry that it had to be canceled last year. We're so excited to be bringing this content forward. Good to great, great to even greater, how to use the framework for achieving great results, whatever stage your organization is, and what are those tactics that are most important during the various phases. So we look forward to that, and there's still time to register. Today is the last day. We'll put the link in the comments here so that you can easily get at that. And today might be one of those days where you've been on the edge. Should we go? Should we not go? We're the just start kind of gals, is we encourage you to just start. And so be decisive today. If you've been on the ledge, not sure if you wanted to go, there's still time. Today is the last day to register. And we hope to see you there on the island. And we'll put that link in the comments so it'll make it easy for you to check out the details and see if you can join us. The event is at the end of the month, I mentioned, June 23rd in the afternoon. We start in the afternoon. And then we start up again in the morning. So it's one night on the island, which is a lovely place to be, Mackinac Island. And hope to see you there. Bye now.